Hi folks, we're back with part number 4 for the Sunbird 1.6 meter. Putting some LEDs in this today for evening and twilight flying. Probably not a lot of night flying with this particular plane, but evening flying, you know, definitely coming up here on the daylight savings time 2017. It's going to start getting dark, and then it's going to be great because we're just going to set our clock so it gets dark even earlier. It's such a great plan. I love it. Except I hate it, actually. Alright, so, got our leads here. That went phenomenal. Now all I have to do is tap any 2 wires, up to and including the bind cable. I might just use that plug there. And I'm going to show you how I do this most of the time. I find in my bag of goodies something like this. This is just one of my many open projects. I look amongst these and I find something like a bind plug. Bind plugs are good. Alternately, you could use something like this, but that's kind of nice. I don't want to use that. You just get millions of bind plugs. You only need so many bind plugs. You could use something like this, except that the pins are all ripped off. I don't really want to do that. Okay, so the bind plug it is. That's enough time spent on that. I'm going to take the bind plug. This is a Horizon Hobby bind plug, and this is a Lemon RX bind plug. You can tell because the Horizon Hobby one has the beveled edges, and this does not. I think this will work fine, though. Okay, so now you're thinking to yourself, well, Brian, the bind plug is going to make it bind. It's not going to light up your... Well, no, we have to switch them. So if we just look at any regular servo connection, we can verify where we need the lines. We need a positive line and a negative line. So we're going to take and break this line out and put it there. Positive is going to be in the middle. As you know, this is a black case, so it's going to be hard to mark that. So you just kind of got to be careful that you get your polarity right. So I'm going to take a fine tip screwdriver, flat if possible, or a knife from an X-Acto knife. Usually works good. Number 11 is the standard size. That would work fine. Lift up the tab, pull the pin out, slide the pin back in the second one over, which is positive. Put your screwdriver down. Grab your strippers. Get your soldering iron hot. Dang, I forgot to do that earlier, guys. Looks like that's the other iron. I need to put a zip tie on that so I can tell which one it is on the fly. Okay, so now I need to take this. I need to cut it. I'm going to do something crazy. Remember, we have to put a resistor on the negative lead. I'm going to make the negative lead shorter. Why would you do such a thing? Positive. Negative, positive, negative. Okay? The positive is going to go to the colored wire in our case. What the heck are you doing on my bench? Get out of here, bug. That's one thing about bringing airplanes into the house. Occasionally you pick up bugs when you're out flying, especially belly landers. So eradicate them quickly before you're not allowed to bring them in the house. Alright. We have the leads. Obviously we have more than we need. I'm going to cut this back. I don't want to be super sparing with it because I don't want to have tons of junk in here. But I don't want to be so short that it becomes a problem and it's hard to work with. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it and adjust you guys. Okay, guys, so I'm going to cut this about even, okay? Now, this wire is pretty decent length, as seen when I lay it down, so I can use that for another project. Positive, in our case, is this color, okay? So what I have to do is put these wires together, but we need some heat shrink so we can protect the joint. Since we happen to have yellow small wire heat shrink, I'm going to use this. Normally I wouldn't use yellow just because it's a little weird to use. Like, what the heck is going on? I found another pill bug. Get out of here. No other animals were harmed in the making of this film. Those two were. Okay. Take this. Slide that over. Take that. hold them together. There's two ways to do these joints really nicely. One is to just kind of interlace the cables. And then the other option that usually is a lot easier if you have room, just go ahead and fold them over, okay? And then you just take and you hook it around the other one and then you fold it over as well. And it works really nice. It's just a really easy going thing to do. Okay, now just make sure it's small enough that it'll fit through the heat shrink. And soldering iron's getting warm. Probably don't put your monocoat too close to the soldering iron. I hear it will melt. That's a hilarious way of saying I've done it before. Get the solder hot. Bridge your work. Let it get hot. And then put a little solder on it. Then, if you're careful the way you do it, you can make this so it's straight instead of being all cockeyed like that. So now it's kind of cooled. I'm going to heat it back up and straighten it out. You can also take some of those nasty little wire stragglers and just flatten them out. Okay, slide the heat shrink over while it's hot if you want to try to take advantage of the heat. And do it to it, just like that, sirs and ma'ams. Very easy. Then the next thing we got to do is we got to put a resistor in here, guys, between this and that. And you're like, oh man, that's why you left that gap. Good idea, dude. I agree, it was a good idea, dude. Okay, so we got black. We don't want to leave this exposed because it could short out to something if there was ever another issue. I guess we'll just use a little bit of blue, or we'll get some black. I do have black in a small size. Ooh, maybe I should do that because I might need the blue to help differentiate like an ESC. Let's have a bunch of green in that size. Doobie-doo. I know I got some real small stuff in here. Real small. Ooh, look at you. Look at you fancy right there. Hobbyking part number time, guys. Go to Hobbyking, order this part. It's black. I won't get any credit for the sale, which is exactly the way it should be. Open the bag. Grab yourself an appropriate length, which is going to be longer than the last one. And incidentally, since the whole resistor fits in the hole, you don't need to go too nuts on it, because you can do this and solder it, and then before you solder the last point, you can go ahead and slide the heat shrink over the opposite side. Okay, so fold your loop like so. Get your loop. Grab your cutters. Cut it. Throw it in your box of goodies for later. And then fold it some more with your fingers, or you can use this. Something like this. Okay, make a loop. Pass the wires in. Fold it over like so. Just like so. Squish it. Squish it. Just like that, guys. Just like that. Super simple. Easy peasy. Clean the tip. Get the solder. It's going to fall over. Just wait and see. Watch. It didn't fall over. What is going on? What alternate universe are we in? That always falls over. Okay, cool. I'll take it. Now grab your wire. Now let's double check for length. Oh my goodness gracious. Gracious. I do need to leave that length of lead on there, and we need to put our heat shrink on, but it's going to be a little bit longer this time. No big deal. The only thing I don't like about the way I did on this is because I cut it so off from one another, we're going to end up with a stiff point where we're trying to manipulate the wires. And keep it in mind, the negative is going to go down. So it's going to be like this, going into that open port on the Laminar X7 channel with stabilization receiver. Okay, so that's a pretty good fit. And like I was saying, we need to go ahead and put some heat shrink over that now. So we'll just go ahead and do a little bit oversized piece on this one. Keep it safe. Pull the wires up. Forceps, where are you? Into the hole, slide it down, grab the lead, pull the lead up. See if you can get that to line up. Okay. Fold it back upon itself. Wrap it under and over a couple times. Alright, cool. Ready to solder. Clean the tip. Clean the tip. Get over the top of your hot glue gun. There you go, guys. Nothing fancy, guys. Let it sit for a second so it can cool in the straightest path possible. Okay, now pull the wire straight, slide your heat shrink over it. Now we can shrink it down. Try not to burn yourself or your house, or your dining room table that you're going to pay the price for using. Okay, very good. Alright guys, lay it aside. We're coming back to you later. Don't you worry, solder. Now this black heat shrink, incidentally, I'm almost out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it and I'm going to put it on my list of things to buy the next time I make an order from Hobbyking. Because here's the thing, guys. When you buy stuff from Hobbyking, you pay shipping every time, which is unlike most companies of worth. They've kind of gotten away from charging shipping if you buy a certain amount of product from them. Well, Hobbyking's a little in the past on that. And so yeah. So when you buy this, you got to pay shipping. I'm not going to pay $10 shipping or $5 shipping or whatever it is. I'm going to save it up and buy it with something else. Alright guys, we're back from making my list, which was super important. I figured I wouldn't share that exact step with you. Okay, so I'm going to pull this receiver up. It's velcroed in, something my grandpa does. I'm not crazy about, but in this case it's been a pretty good deal because I've needed in here a few times so far. I prefer just double-sided tape if you know you're going to be done with a plane. But you know what? Am I ever really done with a plane? I don't think I can never just satisfied with the planes. I always got to add something or change it or whatever. Okay, so just using the forceps. Guys, I don't know if you've seen the moral of part of my story, and that is you need a pair of forceps. Go buy some. Okay, so I'm going to lift that to the point where I can land the negative side, and I'm going to actually use this resistor leg to make a tight bind, which is going to make a loop and get the wires tucked back under. I may even go through the trouble pulling the wire back and then stuffing the excess somewhere in the middle. I can put my tools in here and twist them. That's the way I'll do it. I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. Okay, so you can see the brown, then the red, then the signal, which is orange. I'm going to slide between these two. This is going to go into a channel that's unused in this application. The gear channel is the channel, incidentally, on 11RX7 channel with stabilization that activates and deactivates stabilization. So you can actually take and plug in and just tap the power off that. You could also do Y cable. You could cut into one of these leads and just splice it that way too. Whatever suits your fancy, guys. So I'm going to take and the hot glue is dripped down far enough that it's preventing me from making insertion. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and pull that back. See, it's just between there just enough, guys. Oh yeah, that's pretty good stuff right there. Get out of there. Okay, good. So now I'm going to take this and just ram it right in. Get in there, you little turd. Of course, you got to be careful. I'm going to grab one of the leads, hold it with the forceps so I can make a nice positive seat. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to use another screwdriver to reach in here and to push. Yes! It's in! Okay, so now the next step is while I have this accessible, I'm going to probably, I need to probably test the light real quick. Now, we're not going to turn this on for a long time. We're just going to not even give it a chance to initiate. So, oh, booyah, look at that. That's awesome. Oh, there's a light inside right now. Look at that. I wonder how that got in there. So we're going to plug this in just like so. Barely giving it time to initiate. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, done with the tail light. Now it's time to move on to the other lights once I get this stuff tucked back down, but let's go ahead and do that as part of the video. So I'm now going to untangle my wires for hot glue gunnage. Then I'm going to take and give another smear of hot glue here. Just another smear right there, guys. Just get it on there good. Okay, leave it. Don't mess with it again. Alright, so now it's been 30 seconds, so we're going to mess with it again. Just like I told you, don't mess with it again for 30 seconds. Okay, so we're going to tuck that back down in there. Sorry. I got to, again, make sure we're detached, make sure we're de-energized, which we are. Grab the leads, move the Lemon RX receiver over, get it centered-ish. Not super critical that it's centered, but it's kind of handy. Kind of handy. I'm going to take and reach in here and grab those two wires. Oh, yes, I got... Oh, did I get both? I think I might have. Kind of hard to tell for sure. I'm just a little nervous I might damage something if I don't have my way with it properly. So I'm going to err on the very safe side and maybe guide it into this cavity first. See if it'll just get back there that way. That was a lot safer maneuver. And then I need to guide this ESC cable back through. Now remember, we don't need to do any more work on this. We're done with the wing. I mean, we're done with the body. Now it's all going to be on the wing. Okay? So I'm going to pause and get some stuff cleaned up. Come right back to you. Alright guys, so we're coming back to you. And a couple things real quick. I took and narrowed up this pass through here, or opened that up a little bit, so that when I have the flaps deploying, they won't hit. Then I also glued all the way down the bottom of the flap mechanism to try to even further, you know, share that mechanical load. Okay, so the way I intend to do these lights, back to that. Oh, and then I just readdressed that a little bit, put a piece of tape around here, and then tidied this up just a little bit while I was working. So we've got our mark here, so it shows a red. So we'll start with red. We'll get this plugged back in. This is just the BEC output of the electronic speed controller is bad. So red is the one that you have to wiggle a little bit. So this one's red. So we'll unplug the red, pull out the resistor. Whoa, that was kind of interesting. Good thing I did that test. Okay, so actually the red was this one. Okay, so we got the red one here. We'll just lay that right there. And what we'll do is we'll grab the wire, pull that up and out. We can unplug that for the moment. Oh my goodness, look at the drill bit. Look at this. It bent. Jeez. Well, I should probably straighten that, Okay, it's straight now. That was really crappy. Okay, so we're trying to get back to here. Why are we trying to get back to there? Well, let me show you. I might actually want these. There's a wire in here. And it is a servo cable, but I'm not 100% certain that it is the servo cable extension, or if it's actually the cable for the servo. And so I'm going to attempt to get it out without damaging anything. And I could fail miserably at this, but I'm kind of hoping I don't, because I don't want to have to open this whole thing up. Okay, so we got that almost lifted. Grab a flat screwdriver. Get under the wire. You just definitely don't want to break the wire, and you don't want to make it so that it gets caught in the movement, the action. Okay, so this is for the red light. Okay, so now I can pull this way and just double check. Ooh, feels like there's a connector right there. So if there's a connector right there, we might be able to twist this. Not 100% sure I can make the angle. There's definitely a connector there. So if I can try to spin that, then I should be able to get it out. So this wire's flat, right? So I'm going to try to spin it a little bit. Of course, it's not wanting to fall into alignment there. Maybe I can hold this and push down. And just so you know, there's no access to these servos, or I wouldn't be doing this, of course. Sometimes people like to have a cover plate that actually the servo mounts to, things like that. Makes for a little bit easier serviceability when you get in, change stuff around a little bit. Kind of annoying though here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make this angle happen. So all I got to do is turn it to its side, and then I can get it out with pretty much certainty. Oh, there it goes. There it goes, guys. Okay, so I have it vertical, but it's not thin enough to fit in front of the servo control arm. So we'll try to lift it in front of that. We just don't want to disconnect the wire, because then we'll definitely have to do surgery to get it out. Yep, we're just going to slide it by. We're just going to try to slide it by. Yep, we got it by. Okay, good. So now it's just a matter of breaking a little bit of this wood to allow the fixture to come out. Awesome, guys. Okay. Ugh. Now that we have that, we should be able to work with it. Okay, so now the next thing I need to do is I need to try to get the wire from wherever the dot was to here. Two different ways we can do that. We have matching wire. Of course, if I would have thought of this ahead of time, I would have done it this way. I could have used that yellow and black, and I could have just chased it on the bottom of the wing like a decorative effect. Okay, so make sure if you're pulling wires tight, you grip the wire and then you relieve the pressure that would otherwise be yanking on the solder joint. Okay, so we need to bring this back here. And on this one, we want, I don't know where we want the wire exactly to go in, but I'm thinking we'll probably double this back on itself. So we'll grab it with our fingernail. Just kind of very carefully protect that solder joint. Okay. So we don't want to like overdo it and break the wires off. Okay. So we can go ahead and make our channel now. A couple of different ways to make the channel. One would be with the huge drill bit, and that's probably the way we're going to do it, which is very scary. If you remember on the early portion of this video series, I was like, we need to maintain structural integrity. It's not an option to do anything that causes structural integrity to be compromised. So I'm going to have to use a real small drill bit here. And then I'm going to have to use that drill bit to poke through initially. And then I can walk up the size of the bit if necessary to 9/64, so whatever size we're going to use. Point in the general direction you want to go. Get the wood out of there. That could be solid. That's kind of weird. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of weird. Just now we're going to put the huge bit in here. Get it tight. Hold it on the end of that bench. Get the blade started. You can see I'm just kind of guiding it the direction I want to travel. Okay, so now there's a strong rib here, so we're going to try to avoid that. Now we're just going to do our very best and you can kind of move the bit up and down if you're concerned. Like the bit's up at the top now, so I'm going to back it off. Here in a minute you'll be able to push down and guide it so you can feel it with your thumb as you're penetrating deeper into the wing. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to do something weird. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to hand drill the rest. Okay, so I've got this, and I can tell you I'm in this cavity somewhere because I can feel it with my fingers. Got the light, turn it on, shine the light, and you can see where the bit is. Okay? Can you guys see it? That's the drill bit, so it's right there. So we're actually one wall away from getting into the cavity we need to be in. So I'm just going to hand drill the rest of the way. Just pushing it forward until I hit an obstruction. And why hand drill? So I don't damage the wires, but you can see me moving the wires. Okay, now we have a channel, but the channel does not necessarily gain us wire through the hole. Okay? That is a whole nother story. Now we need to get that worked out, which is going to be a pain in the butt. So, my first thought is, I can't just try to feed it through, it's just going to stop like on the first opportunity. So what I have to do, well, gosh, my soldering iron is getting, it's really bad on your soldering iron to leave it on for long periods of time, because the tip will get all crappy, so I guess I probably ought to unplug that for now. So what we got to do is we got to come up with a solution that we can reach through with, that's long enough to reach, but strong enough to hold its shape. So usually that means a wire of some sort. But the added layer of complexity is that once we get it in here, we're going to actually be pushing the wire, which is abnormal to a degree. Normally you're pulling a wire. So now the other alternative option would be to actually pull a wire from the other side, which is probably going to end up being what we do, regardless of what I want. Let me pause it. I'm going to get a wire picked out. Okay, I always forget about this one wire I've got. It's huge. Goes all the way down. That's way too long, though. Oh, here we go. That one might work. That's just a piece of brass that I took in a drill and I stretched it straight. So, we'll take this. We'll run it through, feeling our way into the holes and wiggling it as necessary to guide it. I actually want this different light here to be upright. This one's not effective right now. Okay, so you see that wire there? This one's got a little less light shining through because there's a balsa wood structure that's in there. You can see the balsa wood structure because we worked off of the plans for the wing except for where we decided to put the servos on the top. Oh, see? Look, you can see it moving around in there. So now, okay, now the tough decision. The tough decision is probably the decision that needs to be made, which is to cut the wing or not cut the wing. I think in this case, we're going to probably have to cut it unless we can figure out a way to get the wire attached and then pull it through, and then we can guide it through again with the actual leads attached. And we're out of memory, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're almost there, guys. I'm hoping number 5 will be the last one, but you know me.